Hey everyone, I am Coach Jon. Welcome back to Empowered and Out, the podcast where we have real conversations about healing, resilience, confidence, and what it takes to rebuild yourself after life has tried to break you. This season, we're leaning deeply into healing and resilience. We're talking about what it means to move through pain, reclaim your power, and reconnect with the version of yourself that may have gotten buried under trauma, heartbreak, burnout, grief, or survival mode. So take a breath, settle in, and let's get into today's conversation. Today's guest is Deanna Scaldaferri. Deanna is a licensed massage and bodywork therapist.
You suey.
Her work is centered on helping people heal and reconnect with themselves through a mind, body, and spirit approach. She creates a compassionate and judgment-free space for people to process, grow, and find balance, health, love, and happiness. Deanna's own journey through grief, trauma, toxic relationships, and personal healing has deeply shaped the way she shows up for others. And today we're diving into what it really looks like to turn pain into power and to rediscover your light. So, Deanna, welcome to Empowered and Out.
Thank you so much, John, for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So, before we get started, Deanna, I always ask my guests with an energy check in on a scale from 1 to 10, how is your energy today and what's contributing to that number?
Hmm. Scale of 1 to 10, I would
Yeah.
say a 7. I try to always be at a 10, like ready and, in my self-care of myself to be ready to show up for other people in the work that I do. But I'd say this week, it was my twin son's 18th birthday. So we had a lot going on and festivities and celebrations and all good things. But I'm feeling a little bit under my normal energy. So I'm trying to get back up.
I understand that. Yeah, that would definitely take some energy. Yeah.
Yes.
For me,
Yes.
jokingly, obviously, you and I chatted a little bit, before we started recording. I would say my energy level is probably at a 7, just with a
Okay.
little bit of the frustrations that I've had already
Okay,
today
and that's
prior
valid.
to
That's
this.
valid.
I mean, normally I'm at an 8, not 8, 9, like getting ready to jump onto
Sure,
this because I love doing this. But
sure.
that put a little wrench in my day, but I'm still excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm
Yeah,
excited to have this conversation.
great,
So, and
great.
I know the listeners are going to appreciate it. So,
That's awesome. Well, if I may, I'll just say something there. I think whenever you're in any kind of professional setting where you show up for others and coaching, right? Obviously, in what I do in holistic healing, it really is important to obviously show up as your best self to be able to hold that space for someone else. But we're also human and we have
yeah,
bad days and we have things that go on. But it's just being mindful of that. That's fair.
for sure. And I feel that, excuse me, I feel that I liked adding this into this, this season, this year on my podcast, just because a lot of times we don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening prior to you jumping on. I don't know,
Yeah.
there could have been something traumatic that happened. There could have been
Yes.
something really joyous that just happened right before you popped on. I don't
Yes.
know, but I want to
Yes.
get the best and the most real, perspective and answers for my
Sure.
guests. So I think that helps them, it helps you and it helps the others in the past and going forward to go, all right, well, wow, how do I really feel? Like,
Yeah.
to get ready,
Yes.
because yes, it is. We're recording this on a Friday.
Hmm.
Yeah, like you said, you've gone through a week, you had your twin son's
Right.
birthday. I mean, that's a lot.
Right.
But on the flip side, we're here to share a message and I'm
Yeah.
excited. And so,
Absolutely. You bring up a good point there, John, that when people show up, I'm sure in a coaching session, people come for an energy session or a massage, they kind of just like dump whatever has been going on in their day, right?
yes.
And so I get that. But the goal, of course, is to make them leave in a better state than when they arrived.
Exactly. So, to start us off, can you share a little bit about your personal healing journey and what led you into the work that you do today?
Yes, absolutely. I'll try to hit the highlights. I speak to the fact that in how I show up and help people and hold space for people today in my profession, in my work, really does stem from my own personal and spiritual journey. Say it's been about a 10 plus year journey as far as my own healing of grief, trauma, narcissistic abuse. that has taken me to a place to recognize that I can help other people in this because it's not something I read in a book. It's not something that I just learned. I've experienced it myself. I've gone through it. I've been in the trenches. I've come out the other side. And I'm really proud of the work that I've done on myself that has then rippled to my children and to my family and to everyone around me. And I know we're going to hit there, John, but it speaks to the whole point that I believe that everybody has a light inside of them and
Hmm.
everyone's situations and their lives and their childhood and all of those things really culminate into how we show up. But I believe that if you consciously show up every day, each and every day, trying to be the best version of yourself, trying to be a better version of yourself than you were yesterday, then that's consciously doing the work. And we all have experiences in our life that have left a mark, the scars, the wounds, the trauma. Everybody does. It's just different intensities and different situations. But again, it's what you choose to do with that. So I
Hmm.
was very conscious in my journey, John, that I knew I wanted to heal. And I know many people, and I see it all the time, that stay stuck. They stay very stuck in whatever the situation. It's almost like they're frozen in time and they
Hmm.
can't get past. And I mean it in a mind, body, spirit place. Like physically,
Yeah.
they can't get past something emotionally, mentally. And I knew for me, and maybe that was maybe in a more intrinsic inside of me, knowing that I was going to be helping other people. It's like I had to heal myself to be able to help others heal in their journey. And so I speak to that all the time that I couldn't be doing the work that I do now and helping people on very deep levels if I hadn't experienced the things that I've experienced myself.
I would agree with you 100% because I feel that that's what makes us better at what we do, especially if we've had the experience. Because then
Yes.
when down the road you have clients, you can sit there and say, okay, well, I've been through this, I've been in your
Yes.
footsteps. I
Yes.
can say I've been in your shoes. I can say, you can tell them, okay,
Yes.
this is the best way that I feel based on my experience and training or certification, whatever it might be,
Right.
that this is what can
Right.
help you.
And
And I
that's it
think,
too.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
go
I
ahead. I'm
feel
sorry. I didn't mean
that,
to cut you off.
yeah, no,
Mhm.
that's fine. I mean, I think that even me as a coach, it's part of my, experiences helping way before I ever got certified in coaching was what I was already coaching. I just,
Right. Right.
didn't realize it until I had a friend point it out. Like, well, you're kind of already doing it. Why not get
Yes.
certified and do it,
Yes.
for real?
Exactly. Exactly. But you hit on a good point that it's a culmination of the professional skills and tools that you've learned, but it's also a mixture of the things that you've experienced. And I just want to touch on that too. Not only can you say to someone, "Oh, I've been in your shoes and I've dealt with this," people feel that. People really feel the
Hmm.
authenticity of that. It's not just say, "Oh, you can empathize with someone no matter what their situation is, but people really feel like, oh, wow, she gets it. She was in that situation. She's lived it." And that's the big difference. So again, of course, we need professional training and all of those things, but it really comes from more of a human place of, I've gone through this. I get it. I'm here to help you.
So, with that, so what do you think your past taught you about healing that no certification or training ever could?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I think what my past has taught me is, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want to heal? If you're not 100% in, I feel like I was 115% in, right? If you're not all in with anything, you can talk about that about
Yeah.
anything, but I'm speaking specifically on healing. I was so intentional. I use the analogy that it was kind of like a horse with the blinders on. It was like I wasn't looking around what was going on. It was more of like head down, focused, and being very conscious and intentional about healing the many different things that I knew needed to be healed. So yes, I believe that speaks to how much you want something is the direct result of how you're going to get it. Because I've actually heard other healers and practitioners say to me, and again, like you just said, sometimes somebody else has to point it out where you don't really see it in yourself. But I've
Hmm.
had other healers say to me, "Wow, Deanna, like, and you've done so much work and so much healing in a span of whatever, 5, 7, 9 years that maybe some people don't do in a lifetime." And that really hits me because, again, it's taken someone else to point that out and say, "You're right. The work that I've done, it could span over 20, 30, 40 years, but I've been so intentional and focused on it that I think that's what has helped it go quicker."
I love that. So we talked
Yeah.
about this, like everyone's like their light. What helping people reconnect with themselves? What do you think causes people to lose connection with their own light in the first place?
Hmm. That's another great question. It could be a lot of different things, to be honest. What helps or what makes people lose their light? Well, I'll speak number one from the side that I know very well of being in a very toxic, narcissistic, abusive, emotionally, mentally, psychologically abusive relationship. When someone beats you down, when someone belittles you, degrades you, makes you feel small, makes you feel less than, day in and day out for however many years, that pretty much will dim your light right there. And that is what has been a big part of my experience. I've been in several narcissistic relationships, but one very long one that exactly did that. It's like the death by a thousand cuts type of thing, right?
Hmm.
It's not just one day. It's a series of, time over time that eventually you lose your light. Another thing that I can speak to is it's just the modern world that we live in, John. I mean, it's like
Mm,
the world that
yes.
we live in is so full of noise and distractions that we lose ourself. We lose connection to our body, to our spirit. We're just all in our heads. We're just go, 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 go for the next fad, the next, instant gratification, the next dopamine hit that we're not connected. And that's what a lot of what I help people with is literally reconnecting to their body, like their mind with their heart, their mind with their spirit, as well as recognizing, okay, if we live in this busy modern world, which we don't have a whole lot of control over, but I do have control over how I spend each of my days and how I choose to live my life and the values that I put there. So I feel like part of my job is education, and people come, of course I'm doing the body work and the energy work, but a lot of it is education because some things that I'm sure you feel this way too, most people in their profession, things that are like second nature to you, things that seem like almost completely obvious to me, I'm oftentimes recognize, oh, this person doesn't really make that connection. So even something as simple to say like, finding some stillness every day, whatever that looks like to you, is really important to your mental health, your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. And that's something really simple, John, that anybody can do. But it's different for
Hmm.
everyone. That's why, people talk
Yeah.
about self care all the time, and that is helping your mental health and your physical health. But that might look different for you than it looks different for me. Maybe I like to just sit outside and listen to the birds. That's calming to me. That calms my nervous system, right? That's relaxing. So that can only take a few minutes. That doesn't cost anything, but it does cost my time. So I think
Yeah.
a lot of that healing piece is recognizing like I deserve a few minutes to myself today to just be in quiet, to be in peace. So that speaks. Hopefully that answers your question.
100%. And you made really good points. It's like, wait, did you listen what I recorded the other day? Because our conversation came
Oh,
into this point is because we have control over certain things. Like you said, we don't have control over everything. And
yeah,
I feel that when you, first off, when you learn that there's so much that you actually have no control over. And I think some of that has come as I've gotten older, things that I've learned. You think you have so much control over certain things when you're younger, where you're invincible, you can do everything. But I love how, and I do this. I love just to sit in
yeah,
peace, like in
yeah,
quiet, no phone, no television, no computer, just and like was doing doing an energy check in on myself. How am I
yeah,
doing? What do I need
yeah,
to do to make it improve? And I feel very fortunate that I do have outdoor spaces where two actually where I live that I can just go and sit out and be a
yes,
part of that nature and that sound
yes,
and just go. And like you said, I mean 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is, it's so important to get that.
yeah,
People don't really
absolutely.
realize because I joked and said, I remember when I was younger, we didn't have any of this stuff. There were no
I
devices, there
know,
was nothing.
I
You were
know, and it
truly
was so much
present
simpler.
all the time. Oh my gosh, it was so much simpler. I
Yes,
mean, I remember before cable TV. So it's just like to when I see people constantly on their phone, it's like, put your phone down. What is
yeah,
so important that you can't take like
yeah.
5 minutes just to take a
Take a
deep breath
moment. Yes.
and
And you
just
speak you
enjoy?
speak about that energy check-in. I love that. It's your energy check-in, but it's also checking in with your body and mind to say, what is it that I'm needing right now? Exactly
Yes.
that. Like you could be feeling off. People, a lot of times people say, I feel off, but I don't know why. Well, that's when you need to really connect. And like you said, just take a few moments, say, okay, take a breath, right? How am I feeling? What's bothering me? What's going on? And then what can I do maybe that will help that? So even just something as simple as that, like you said, for 5 minutes. And most people don't do that. They're here. on their phones
Yeah.
connected. And like you said, I look at it that way too. Like, what is so important that you need to be on your phone? Because I look at it that my health is most important, my mental status, my state of being, my energy is most important. And it speaks about protecting your peace. Because like you said, yes,
100%.
the
Yeah.
world wants to make us, move on this, this gerbil wheel, but you can, I know, and this is what I speak to. I know it goes against the grain. I'm aware of that, right? But you can say, you know what? Like you just said, I'm going to put my phone down for 30 minutes and I'm not going to check it. Like you can do that. But it goes back to what I said. You have to be intentional and you have to be conscious and focused to do that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, 100%. It's the most, I think one of the best advice that I got from one of my guests on here was like, listen to yourself, trust
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
and know if you need that break, that quiet, that peace, you can do it. It's
Yes.
okay. Most people
Yes.
around you, even if, yeah, we are in a go, 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 constant moving, so, society with everything. If they really are your friend or a family, whoever, they're going to understand that if
Yes.
you do need that 5, 10, 15, 30
Yes.
minutes to take that break, that time away, it's
Yes.
good. I mean, something I chatted with someone earlier today, excuse me, was that they're a therapist. And I said, one of the sad things is that a lot of times we don't focus enough on our mental health in this country specifically. A lot of
Right.
other countries
Sure.
do spend that time for the mental health and the part of the healthcare. And I feel that if we can at least see it
Right.
and understand that, okay, and we're going to go in a little bit in a second, but I feel that that's what's going to heal us a lot faster when we can really see and just enjoy the peace. I mean, you said like hearing birds chirping it's just so calming. Like one of the
Yes.
most fun things I love doing living here in Colorado, I love to go up into the mountains and just sit
Yeah.
peacefully and just hear nature.
Yes. And absolutely connecting in nature and whatever that looks like for you, whether it's the mountains, the beach, the forest, outside, that's
Yeah.
probably one I speak a lot about that too. That's probably one of the best ways to calm the nervous system, one of the best ways to reduce anxiety, um, and de-stress and reconnect. And like you just mentioned, like as kids, right? We didn't have devices. Now we're going to age ourselves here, but we didn't have devices. So what did you do? You played outside all the time, right? You were
Yeah. We were
outside
outside
in
all the
nature.
time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like if you really even think about that, and even I talk about this too, channeling your inner child. Like, what did you like to do when you were a kid? Try to do some of that now, whatever it is, because it does. It's so underestimated, but it can help with mental health and easing anxiety, which I believe today's world with all the devices and all of that, again, it has its pros, but the cons is that it just fosters anxiety beyond what
Hmm.
we've ever experienced before.
For sure. So, for someone who has gone through trauma or a deeply unhealthy relationship, which unfortunately a lot of people have, what does healing actually look like in real life beyond, excuse me, beyond the buzzwords?
Beyond the buzzwords, meaning just like
Yes.
the words that are thrown around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I'll speak to, anyone who's been in a narcissistic relationship and whether that means romantic, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, but also family. The narcissist can be a parent, a sibling. It can be in the workplace, right? A boss, a
Right.
coworker, school, friends, teammates, coaches. It can be anyone, right? But anyone who's been in a relationship like that typically understands how damaging it is to the entire body, mind, and spirit. It's not, I hear a lot of times like, oh, well, it's just like a breakup. You're just healing your heart type of thing. There's a very big difference from a normal breakup of like, okay, I'm sad that this relationship is over, than to a trail of damage that has been left on your physical body, your nervous system,
Hmm.
your hormones, and the mental piece of all of those self doubts and those, again, belittling things that have made you question your own reality, question your own sanity, question your intuition. That's a lot more than just a broken heart type of thing. So, yes. So now you speak about narcissism and talk about buzzwords. I mean, that's all over social media, right? All of the,
Yeah.
the words, narcissism, love bombing, gaslighting, triangulation, all of these things that, to be honest with you, John, I think most people don't really even understand what that is. You just hear about it. Maybe it's even like minimized or justified or even as a joke and it's funny. And that's something that I've even had to really spell out to my own children to say, like, gaslighting's not something to laugh about or joke about because it's just made so, light on social media. Gaslighting is actually a very serious psychological tactic that a person uses to try to control you.
Hmm.
So I do think that healing on the other side of all those buzzwords, what I think that healing looks like is living a peaceful life, a happy life, a healthy life. And that again composes of where you've regulated your nervous system, which again, you can have a deregulated nervous system for many reasons, but in a toxic relationship, it's because you're walking on those eggshells all the time. You're never knowing what that person is going to say or do. Are they going to be in a good mood? Are they going to be in a bad mood? Are they going to be upset with me and get angry and punish me? So that literally wreaks havoc on your nervous system, which then can, again, I can speak from the physical side, the emotional, mental side, from the massage side, if your nervous system is deregulated, it often lowers your immune system. It fosters more illness, sickness, pain in the body, affects your adrenals, your hormones, all of those things. And again, over a longer period of time, it really breeds some serious issues and illness. From the mental side, it's a retraining of the brain, the neuroplasticity of the brain. People say like, oh, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, science says differently. Science says that again, with intention and focus and training and practice, you actually can create new neural pathways in your brain and rewire your brain to do different things that you say. A lot of times, people, especially middle age and up, you think, oh, that's just the way that person is, or that's just the way I am. And you just accept it and leave it at that. But I can speak of myself. If there's something about myself that I don't like, that I want to change, well, then I'm going to be very intentional about changing it. And it goes back to trying to be the highest version of myself. We can write off anything and say, oh, that's just the way I am. That's just the way he or she is. But is that okay? Not sure. The emotional side of it, managing emotions in a healthy way. This is something that has been really, really important on my radar with helping myself and my children in learning to do. I always speak of this, everyone gets angry sometimes, right? Everyone gets frustrated,
Yeah.
upset, right? Feels resentful or bitter if somebody's wronged them. That is normal. Those are human emotions. That is okay. But it's what you do with those emotions that determines
Hmm.
whether it's healthy or unhealthy. Do you just keep pouring yourself glasses of wine to numb the pain of what you're feeling of the emotion, right? You can numb emotions in many different ways: food, alcohol, sex, drugs, all of those things. Or do you say, you know what? I'm going to allow myself to feel these feelings because it's valid how I feel, right? Support myself with people around me who will help me do that and go do something more healthy. Go for a run, go for a walk, do some yoga, meditation, breath work, whatever the case is, to help work through those emotions.
I like that. So, what would you say to someone who feels frustrated because their healing journey is taking longer than they expected?
Hmm. Give yourself some compassion, give yourself some grace. We're all human, right? And I think that a lot of times, John, and myself included, I was there too. And even now, sometimes it's like we want what we want when we want it, right? I just want to be healed. I want to be past this. I want to get rid of this in my body. I want to stop acting this way. I want to stop. But it doesn't happen overnight. We have to trust the
No.
process. We have
Hmm.
to trust the process and give ourselves compassion, give ourselves, the patience piece. I think, again, going back to the world we live in, patience is a virtue that not many people have in today's times. It's like, I want everything now, instant gratification. So, same thing with healing. I want to just be healed now. Doesn't work that way. And on the healing aspect of that, John, you can say that, trauma and things that happen in the body that you would need healing from typically don't happen overnight. Sometimes
No.
there are situational traumas that, an intense, a car accident, a death, it's something like that, of course, can happen suddenly. But typically there are things that have happened over years that we can't expect to heal years of trauma in a one session or a one night. So I think the biggest thing I would say is to give yourself grace and compassion. And a lot of times I use this analogy to people in situations where I feel like they're not giving themselves that compassion. Speak to yourself and act towards yourself the way you would to a child. Would you say to a
Oh,
young child, like, what's wrong with you? You're not doing that fast enough. Why can't you do that? Like, you would never really say that. I mean,
yeah.
in a healthy household, right? So why are we our own worst critic where we are telling ourselves, I'm not healing fast enough. I'm not doing this fast enough. Speak to yourself the way you would to a child. That's a really big and really powerful tool.
That's really good advice, because I'm just sitting there thinking about like my sister right now. She has a 2-year-old. As we know, 2-year-olds definitely, they
Can try your
pull
patience.
out. Oh my goodness gracious. And I feel kind of bad watching my sister because she's a single mom. So I'm seeing
Yeah.
her going through all of this.
Yeah.
But I also have to understand that, I mean, I like how talk to yourself as if you're talking to your child. Like flip it, like do that. Like, how are
Yeah.
you talking to your daughter? Okay, we'll talk to yourself like that.
Yeah.
Is she going to
And
understand that? Is she going to really get what you're trying to
respond.
say? Yeah, is she going to
Respond to
respond?
that. Yeah.
I mean,
And
she's a little dramatic right now being a 2-year-old little girl,
I'm
but
sure.
I got to experience something last night and I was like, oh goodness. But part of it was because she was up past her bedtime. She needed to go to
Yes.
bed. And so
Yes.
a lot of that was her, okay. And even my sister's like, yeah, it's time for bed.
Yes.
I
Yes.
can see you're exhausted and your body's exhausted and you're frustrated,
Yes.
but it's time to
Yes.
lay your head down and go to sleep.
But John, those are two great points you just hit on. Number one, not only speaking to yourself like you would to a child, but you can go even deeper than that and saying, in that repairing that inner child. Like if anyone's had a childhood, and I put myself in that category where there was trauma and there was abuse, then you're basically like reparenting yourself in speaking to that inner child inside of you and telling them that they're safe and it's okay, and doing all and saying all the things that were never said to you as a child that you really needed to hear. So you could go down a
Yeah.
whole rabbit hole there, but also that you're saying, and it's funny because, right, with a toddler, you can say, oh, yeah, she's acting out this way because she's overtired and she needs to get to bed. Well, guess what? We could say the same of adults, right? If you're tired, and I even will say this to my own kids, like if I'm tired or I'm hungry, like whatever I'm feeling is amplified, whatever I'm feeling.
Oh, yes.
So it's saying, and this is where it goes back to listening to your body and listening to what you need, because then I will say, you know what? I need to eat something right now. I know that I'm hungry. I need to lie down for a few minutes because I know that I need to rest. I
Hmm.
need this. I need that. It's listening to your body and your mind of what you actually need and then fulfilling that need. So then you wake up and you can face the world again. So it's just interesting that you say that
Yes.
about a toddler. Well, again, you can relate that to adults as well.
Well, for sure. So let's talk about mental health. I
Yeah.
know you wanted to chat about this, and obviously it is important with what we're talking about in general.
Yeah.
In your experience, how deeply connected are mental health and the body?
How deeply connected are they?
Yeah.
Very, very, very connected. Like I said before, I'm a huge believer in the mind, body, spirit, and I don't think that it's just, oh, it's just something I believe. There's science that backs it up as well. That if you're, and I'll do it from both ends in the sense, like let's say, for an example, you have anxiety, extreme anxiety. If you're not mentally in a good place because of that anxiety, so anxiety is a mental health issue, and you go either undetected, undiagnosed, or even recognizing that you have anxiety, well, after many years, it just intensifies, it gets worse, you don't have the tools to cope with it. So at some point, John, that anxiety is going to affect your physical body. Now, we're human, we all have the same body anatomically, but we're all different in how we respond. So maybe that comes out in some sort of autoimmune disease or some sort of chronic pain or chronic illness. The body speaks to us. And when there is pain, unexplained pain in the body, it's coming from someplace else. And I know this from experience and even people that I've worked with. Sadly, sometimes even cancer can come from that extreme anxiety, extreme stress
Mm.
on the body. I mean, again, everyone believes something different. And I know the science of the cancer cells, but I do believe that a big part of anyone's cancer is stress related. So again, that can come from the mental state, depression, another mental health issue. If it goes untreated, that will affect your body. Now, go in the opposite route. It works both ways. If
Hmm.
you are in physical pain, and I help a lot of people who are in chronic pain, and they've gone to every doctor who tells them, oh, there's nothing I can do, there's nothing wrong, right? Many times people then start to think they're crazy. Like, I've gone to every specialist, they keep telling me nothing's wrong, but I am still feeling pain in my body and I'm not okay and I'm not crazy. Well, that starts to play on your mental health. So now you're in physical pain, and first off, that's all you're thinking about every single day when you wake up is the pain that you're feeling. And that starts to play on the mental health and can really, really it could be a downward spiral from there. So the two are absolutely connected. Everyone can believe whatever they want to believe, but again, being in this field and approaching things from the science side, the physical body side, and from the energetic and emotional side, it's all connected.
I like that. Well, and I mean, I will admit one of the things that I love the most to do and to get is honestly a massage. It's like the best
Yeah.
feeling in the world
Yeah,
because especially if I've
absolutely.
gone through some stress or I remember years ago when I was I was at a job and I was never moving, you could tell. And of course, all the pain was in my lower back because of course
Right.
when I'm seated and I'm not moving and they're like, wow, you must sit down a lot because I can see the stress right here. I'm like,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean, I feel that personally, and I know some people who don't like massage, things like that, but only because they don't like people touching them, like in a way. And I get it. People are people. We have our
Yeah.
opinions about
Right.
everything. Like, I
Sure.
mean, going to a doctor compared to someone or going to something like doing, Reiki or body based healing is completely different. But a lot of times, just like with our eating, like fruits and vegetables and things that are not and protein based that's not necessarily like meat, for instance, is actually probably better for the body. And a
Hmm.
lot of people, when they have those issues with their bodies, sometimes, I mean, let's be real. When someone gains weight, it could be stress, it could be from work, it could be something traumatic they've
Right.
been through,
Sure.
but it also could just be they're taking the easy way out. Oh, I just went and grabbed food at the fast food. I'm sure you have, I learned this when I was younger. The best place in the grocery store to go to is on the outside.
Yes.
You don't go
Yes.
on the
Exactly.
inside, you go on the
Hmm.
outside. That's where all the fruits
The
and the vegetables and
produce.
the
Yep.
produce,
Hmm.
that's where all of that is. That's where the best stuff. And if you're lucky enough, you take it a step further. If you're lucky enough to go to like a farmer's market, that's even better because that's
Yeah.
like truly local
Organic.
and it's
Yeah.
organic and you're not paying those ridiculous prices that some of the grocery stores put out there
Right.
for
Right.
organic. You're getting it from someone. And I love that going back to my sister with my niece, my sister goes to the farmer's market every single weekend and they get fresh fruits
Nice.
and vegetables. And I love that and jealous a little bit
Mm.
that my niece loves avocados and she gets fresh California avocados every single week and she can eat them. She eats it like an apple. Like she loves avocados. And I
That's great.
love
It's
that
good for you.
because number one, avocados are great for you,
Yes.
but it's not, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure it'll stick around. Because some people have said, oh, well, not always when children like certain foods when they're little, just like they
Right.
continue to like them when they get older. I
Sure. Their
have a
tastes
feeling she's
change.
probably, yeah, but I have a feeling she'll probably, I mean, I've always loved avocados from, day one when I was introduced to them. So, of course,
Sure.
I was the
Sure.
child that my mom and my parents loved because I literally did eat everything. Where my sister
That
was
is
the
a
picky
dream.
eater and my
Right.
sister was so picky, it took her until college to branch out on certain
Yeah.
foods. And
Yeah.
it's kind of
Well,
funny, it's like, it took you how many years? Like,
right. But better late
but
than never, I always say, John. Better late than never. And if
exactly.
I may speak just on a couple of those points, because you bring up a lot of good points, is that yes, the nourishment that we provide ourselves with food is our fuel. So you're absolutely right about the quality of the food that we eat is a big part of how we feel physically and mentally. So that's a great point. And then the other one I wanted to say is that yes, if you're sitting down all day, people at computers, at desks, it's always a combination of things. It depends on your occupation, of course. If are you always standing, are you always sitting, driving, that kind of thing, that will play on the body. But then again, there's always deeper layers as well. Because some people will come for a massage and say exactly that, like I'm really tight because I sit all day. Okay, that's part of it. But we all know again that there's layers underneath that of, maybe some energetic stuff that they're holding on to
Hmm.
that also plays into that. So you're right. A massage alone can just help you in so many ways. The physical muscles of your body and loosening and relaxing them, but also, and this is what the piece that I don't think a lot of people realize. They book a massage like, oh yeah, my body needs it. Yes, you need body work. But typically if you come for a massage, you're going to try to relax your brain as well. You're going to try to just really go
Yes.
within and so that the benefits of massage I could go on and on, but I think that people maybe don't even recognize that. And I mean, I see it every single day. Someone comes in stressed, harried, oh, I just got into traffic. And it's like, okay, you're here. Let's take a breath, right? You've arrived, you're here. And then they leave a completely different person. And that's the joy that I get in doing what I do. And to be honest, I'll just go there really quick because that's how I even got into massage. It's been about 10 years ago. I've always loved receiving massage as,
Mhm.
I always valued it as something for my self care. And I was like, oh my goodness, I think I would really enjoy helping other people feel this way because I love that feeling of leaving after massage. So I get great joy of that. On top of it, when there's Reiki energy healing, it's even that much more powerful for sure.
So let's go into a little bit of that. So, how have massage, Reiki, or body based healing helped people access emotions that they could not talk their way through?
Okay, that's a great question. So, Reiki is a Japanese form of energy healing. There are different kinds, but there are the chakras. I'm sure you've heard of the chakras in our body or the energy centers. So, typically, the sacral chakra is in your stomach, like your abdomen area. And typically, most people hold a lot there. So, actually, that speaks to what we were just saying. You could have lower back pain because of your posture and sitting in a chair, but you could also be holding on to a lot of deep emotions or wounds and hurts that's where they culminate. And a lot of times, John, whether childhood, society, whatever you want to call it, teaches us to just suck it up, repress the emotions, like just take it, it's fine, just keep going. So it's kind of like we just push down, we just keep pushing down all of those emotions that we never really deal with because it's like, oh, I'm not supposed to cry about it, I'm not supposed to feel it, so I'm just going to keep pushing it down. Well, it's kind of like any container, you can only push so much into that container before it starts to just overflow. So most
Yeah,
people will have many things energetically in their stomach area, their sacral area that need to be released. So why my signature massage or signature session is a massage with Reiki energy healing for exactly that reason. People want the massage piece of it for the physical body work, but they also want the energetic piece of letting go of some of those hurts and emotions. And speaking to what we were saying, I say this all the time, I wish it could be like, okay, you come for one Reiki session and we're just going to let everything go, 40 something years of all of those hurts. It doesn't work like that. I wish it did. I
no,
truly wish it did. But typically it's a process. So we're going to set the intention to let go of something. Either it can be specific if you're really like struggling with something, you're like, I'm really struggling with this relationship with someone or this work piece, whatever it is, you can be intentional about it, or you can say just, you know what, I don't really know, but I want to let go of whatever is weighing me down. And the energy doesn't lie. The energy will, I always say this, that energy work kind of shakes things up in the body and it brings to the surface whatever needs to be looked at and whatever needs to be addressed. So you can come for a session, John, and you leave and either during the session or afterwards, because the energy still continues to flow. You can come up with this, people will say a random memory. It's not random, right? And they'll say, I haven't thought about that event or that person in 20 something years. Why on earth is that coming up? Well, it's coming up because your body's telling you it's still there. It's still being held. We need to work on letting that go. And that's where the individual work comes into play. Okay, so now feel into that deeper. Well, this memory came up, this hurt. Why? What do I need to do? Accept it, forgive it, release it, whatever it is. So that's where, again, I help people in that space, but we all have to do our individual work.
for sure. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's always, I always love when my massage therapist will be like, okay, so when's our next session? Like, when are we coming back? When are you coming back in? And it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, let's book this. Let's get this.
Yeah.
We definitely
Let's
need
work
these
on
on
it.
the books. And I mean, I have many friends who are always going to a massage therapist. It's like, because it isn't a one time thing. It's,
It's
you
not.
really, as nice as that might be, we're always putting trauma on our body,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, from the way we, possibly the way we're sitting, driving in a car during rush hour, that puts stress on our
Sure.
body,
Sure.
which of course I've learned there's no reason to stress about that stuff.
I know. That's the little stuff, but people do.
But
But you
people
make the
do, yeah.
you make the good point about it that it's maintenance. It should be part of your
Yeah.
self-care. I think massage in general was looked for many years as a luxury. well, that's nice if you have the time and the money to do it. Where I personally believe that massage is a necessity and it's part of your maintenance and your self-care, because you're right. You can come today, you can come next month, the month after. You're not going to fix, your issues physically, mentally, emotionally in one session. It's the kind of thing that you need to actively be working on. And I also want to
Yeah.
touch on what you talked about previously, John, about some people not liking massage or not wanting to be touched. And that right there actually speaks volumes of that what that person should feel into for their own healing. Because touch is very obviously, it's very personal, it's very intimate, and touch alone can bring up to the surface emotions. And even just if someone gives you a hug or holds your hand, or not even just in a massage professional setting, just in general, someone rests their hand on your shoulder. Touch invokes emotion. It brings things up. And honestly, what I find is that the people who don't like to be touched or want to come for a massage, it's that they know it's going to bring up some things that they don't want to bring up. It's like opening Pandora's box type of thing. And I've seen it happen. And I've seen,
Yeah.
people even express like, wow, when you were massaging this area, it reminded me of the way my mom used to touch me there. And it could be in a positive or a negative. It could be like, oh, wow, that was really endearing. My mom used to, when you massaged my head, it brought me back to a memory of my mom, doing that to my head. Or, again, touch the body. It's a muscle memory. The body remembers if you've had trauma or physical trauma or abuse in your life. Well, touch, a massage is going to bring that up. And so typically,
Yeah.
again, some people might avoid it because they know that, but you're just avoiding the healing process altogether. And I speak to this a lot, John. The only way through pain is through. You can't get around it. You can try to avoid it. We all can. You're just postponing it, because the only way to get to that other side of where healing is to go through and do the hard work that most people try to avoid.
Let's talk about turning pain into power. What does that phrase really mean to you personally?
It's a powerful one for me specifically. I feel for me personally, it speaks to the fact that I didn't go through the pain and suffering that I've been through in my journey in my life for nothing. It wasn't purposeless. It has purpose. And I think for myself, I can speak just for myself, that I think that it helps me come from a place of power every single day to say that, okay, and I can recognize this. I couldn't be helping the people that I'm helping today at the very deep, intense levels that I do if I hadn't gone through my own personal pain in my journey. So, the turning pain into power, I believe it's a conscious choice. And I believe that I've helped people through this, that when something is painful in your life, whatever you've been through, whatever it is, most people feel that it's out of control. Like, this happened to me, right? I didn't have control over it, and this is awful and it stinks and all of those things. And yes, in many situations that is true. Part of my story is that I lost my parents together very traumatically and tragically, and I could have stayed stuck in that for the rest of my life, in that pain and that grief. But I was very intentional to say, well, I didn't have control over that happening. It happened, but I do have
Hmm.
control over how I respond to that. And everybody has that same choice. Do I want to stay stuck in this grief for the rest of my life and let it control my life and ruin my life, right? Or do I want to actively work through the grief, which is what I have done and continue to do, because I know that I deserve a happy and healthy life, and so does my family and anyone that I interact with. So to me, that's a big piece of it, comes from inside of turning that pain into power. I'm sure you know people, John, because everybody does, that can play the victim pretty much for the rest of their life. They could say, this happened to me when I was a kid, and this happened to me when I was in my 20s and my 30s. Yes, stuff happens to us. We're human and we all have suffering in some capacity. But do you
Yeah.
let it define you? Do you let it define you as being that pain is what you're going to remember forever? Or do you say, you know what? This happened. It was awful. It was hard, but I choose to turn that into something powerful, something beautiful, something that I can help others with. And that is the difference. So for me, it honestly, it's a daily reminder of that. I am doing my life now. If you met me 10 years ago, John, I'd be a very different version of who I am today. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the work that I've done to get to this point for myself personally and for my family and my children and anyone who knows me. but also being able to help people in a professional setting that I never actually anticipated that being the case. I couldn't do what I'm doing if I hadn't gone through it.
I love that. And you made a really good point. It's how we allow what we've gone through to shape us. Like everybody goes through something. Really, let's be almost everyone probably goes through something. Even it
Yes.
may not be as traumatic as some others, but it is how you decide to deal with it and how you're going to move forward in life. And it is like one of the things you brought up, like, losing, parents, losing loved ones. It's hard. It is very hard,
Yes.
especially I would feel like, especially when it's parents, because
Yeah.
these are the people who
Shaped
brought
you.
you into this world. They're
Yeah.
the ones who brought you in to have, a life. And I feel
Yes.
that and I saw this a lot when I worked in the funeral business for like 7 years. And it was working with those families that lost loved ones. It was just,
Grief.
I learned really a lot more about empathy than I
Yeah.
had ever learned
It makes
in
sense.
any way, because I grew as being more empathetic than I ever had
Yeah.
been.
Of
But I think
course.
for me personally, it took a whole nother step when I did lose, like when my father passed away. Because when you actually feel like it's one thing to see that grief and that heartache, when someone loses a loved one that walks into the door of, the business I'm in, compared to, wow,
Yeah.
dad passed away. And,
Yeah.
or, in spirit, it's like
Feeling it personally.
feeling it, you can still have that empathy with those
Yes.
other people, but
Yes.
it's a little bit, it's different. And I told someone the other day, I said, it's one of the hardest things in my personal opinion. I think this was after, of course, working in that industry, is I don't feel like anyone should ever watch their parents pass in front of them. Number
Mm.
one, because it's so hard to watch the life being
Yeah.
just sucked out.
Sure. Sure.
But also parents, for them to lose a child, I feel
Yeah.
that is like just even, it's almost worse because
The
it's
ultimate
the
loss.
ultimate. And yeah, and I think that I'm very thankful for the time that I got to spend in that industry, because I did learn a lot,
Yeah.
but I was
Yeah.
so ready to get out.
Yeah.
Once my dad
Sure.
passed, I was like,
Sure.
let's move on to a little bit more positive environment,
Yeah. That's
because it's
fair.
always sadness and grief. And you're now we my
Right.
I had some amazing boss over the years that we did such a good job to keep humor and laughter in the area
Yeah. Sure.
after
To
having to deal
offset
with the
it.
family. Yeah, to offset it, because
Well,
I mean, till this day, I still don't know how funeral directors do it and how those people
yeah.
do it, because it's hard to constantly be going day in and day out
Well,
with
and yes, and I
constantly
was going to
dealing with
say
people.
that every day you're meeting people at their worst. You're meeting people
Yeah,
on their worst day, their worst scenario, and so it's heavy to hold that space for those people, like you said, day in and day out. But again, obviously, it sounds like in your journey, for whatever reason, you needed that experience. In that industry, like you said, to grow your empathy and compassion, and then you can use that wherever. And then it also speaks to coming full circle of what we started with, that now and when anyone loses a parent, you can from your own experience say like, I know what it feels like. I feel for you,
yeah.
not just because I feel for you as a person. I feel for you because I've been through it and I've recognized how hard it is. So it just goes back to what we were saying about authentically being able to be there for people when you've had those experiences. And I think at the end of the day, that's what we're all meant to do, right? Is help each other. If you can say to someone, I've been there. I know how painful it is. Because also you're just validating them too. You're just saying, like, I know how hard it is. You're going to get through it. Sometimes that's all people want to hear. That's all they want to hear.
That is very true. So a lot of people listening may be coming out of grief,
Yeah.
heartbreak, abuse,
Yeah.
or even emotional chaos, and wondering if they will ever feel like themselves again. What
Hmm.
would you want them to know?
There's always hope. There's always hope. Don't give up hope. I've been there in my darkest day. I've been there with, again, my light so dim and so almost extinguished, and thinking that I don't know if I'm going to recover from all of this. But my best advice is to always keep hope, have faith, and know that even in your darkest times, there's still light, and just keep going towards that light. And it's the kind of thing that I mentioned about the horse with the blinders on. Just keep focusing on each day. I think a lot of times we focus on, 10 steps ahead, like, oh, well, I'm never going to get out of this situation. It's so awful. Just focus on the next step in front of you? I always say,
Hmm.
like, what is my next right thing to do? What's the next right thing? That's your next step. Listen intuitively to what am I meant to do next? You take that step and then you ask again, what is my next right step? And before you know it, you're on your way to healing. But I think that people do at that really state of brokenness. And I have not only personally been there, I have helped many people through that state where their whole world shatters. And whether that's divorce or sickness or death or illness, just have faith and believe in yourself that you're going to get to the other side and have hope.
Awesome. All right. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into my favorite part of of my podcast, and that's the rapid fire questions. We've been deep, we've been real. So we're going to get maybe a little bit mildly unhinged, but in the best
Okay.
way.
Okay.
So, all right. If you could have the perfect self care day, where are we going first? A cute coffee shop, a nature trail, a spa moment, or somewhere with the best people watching?
Is it only of those choices or can I add my own?
Well, feel free to add your own. Yeah.
Oh,
What's the,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. I'm at the beach. I get a coffee at a coffee shop and I'm at the beach. That is my best self care. That's where I feel most grounded. Well, this is rapid fire, so I'll keep it at the beach.
All right. So you live in the Charlotte area. That's correct.
Yes, North Carolina. Yep.
All right. Well, if your healing journey had to be described as a Charlotte weather pattern, would it be sunshine, a surprise thunderstorm, humid but survivable, or somehow all four seasons in one day?
All 4 seasons in one day for sure. Charlotte weather, it has a drop, but the temperature from the morning until noon sometimes is like a 30-degree difference, where you wake up and it's freezing, and then by noon you're sweating. But yes, sunshine, humidity, rain, thunderstorms, probably all of it combined for sure.
All right. I love that. If you had one free afternoon in Charlotte with no responsibilities, what are you doing? Where are you going? And what snack are you absolutely getting?
I would say taking a walk on the Greenway, which is like a nature trail here in Charlotte, and it goes pretty much throughout the entire city, and it's so relaxing and beautiful. I would definitely be stopping first, though, and getting a coffee and a sweet treat, and then going on that walk and maybe sitting on some of the benches, just kind of just like I said about like listening to the birds or just watching nature. That would be if I had nowhere to go and nothing to do. That's what I would love to do.
Nice. All right. Last question. Which would win in a showdown for restoring your soul faster? A quiet North Carolina nature escape, a long bodywork session, or one really good iced coffee and no one bothering you?
Oh, goodness. All of the above. But I will all of the above, but I will say, yes, connecting in nature is one of my best days, but I do love a long body work session. I trade religiously with a friend of mine who's a massage therapist as well, and we do pretty much like 2-hour body work sessions, and I feel like $1,000,000 when I leave. So I'm going to go with a really long body work session.
Awesome. I love that. All right. Well, Deanna, before we wrap up, for the listener who is in the middle of pain right now and wants to begin healing, but doesn't know where to start, what is one piece of advice or one action step that they can take today to begin reconnecting with themselves and their light?
I would say listen to your intuition. I speak a lot about this. Listening to those little nudges that we all feel. We just either ignore them or we're too busy to even recognize them. So listen to your intuition about what you're needing right now. If you're in a really dark space or a hard time, give yourself some stillness and say, what is it that I'm needing now? If it's body work, if it's an energy session, if it's some self-care, some alone time, whatever it is, listen. The other piece I would say, as far as with Reiki and energy healing, it's the kind of thing that I could explain it all day long to you, John, but it's the kind of thing that you have to experience it to really understand the power and the magic in it. So if all you need is an open mind, an open heart to say, you know what? And this is what typically happens. People will come in a very desperate state and say, I don't really know what that Reiki stuff is, but I'm so desperate because I'm in pain or I'm grieving or I'll try anything. Well, if you're open to and willing to step outside your comfort zone a little bit, definitely do that. For Reiki energy healing, it can be done virtually as well. So I'll speak to anyone in the Charlotte area. I can help you with massage, energy healing, coaching, intuitive coaching. But if you are Colorado or anywhere else in the country or the world, you can book a virtual Reiki energy healing session, and the effects are just as effective. I know people don't typically believe that, but it is true. And I would love to help you. Anyone who is feeling that they need some help, I would love to offer that space for you.
Awesome. I love that. Great advice. And thank you for obviously, letting people know they can reach out to you. And I love that.
Absolutely.
That's why I bring people on here. Obviously, I want people to reach out to my guests if that's possible. So,
Of course.
alrighty. Well, Deanna, this was a powerful and I actually believe a needed conversation.
Yeah.
So thank you for being open and so honest and so generous with your story and your wisdom. I think that there are so many people that are going to hear themselves in part of this conversation,
Yes.
especially those who are trying to heal from trauma, moving through grief, recovering from toxic relationships, and finding their way back to themselves. And what I really
Absolutely.
appreciate is that it reminds people that healing is not about becoming someone new. It's
Hmm.
about returning to who you were before pain, survival, and heartbreak that made you forget your own light. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation. And I agree with you that it's very powerful. And I always say that if it helps even just one person, I feel like it will help more than one. But even if it resonates with just one person, then we're doing the work that we need to be doing. So thank you for the space to be able to have this conversation.
You are very welcome. And I agree with you, even if it's just one, but I have a feeling it's going to be
Mm.
more than just one that
Yes,
this is going to
exactly.
resonate with. And so, listeners, if this conversation spoke to you today, share this episode with someone who may need a reminder that healing is possible and their light is still in there, even if life has tried to dim it. And obviously, Deanna mentioned, if you want to learn more about her or even reach out to connect, I will put all that information in the show notes. And so, if
Perfect.
you're listening and realizing that you're in a season of rebuilding as well, whether that's confidence, clarity, identity, or your next chapter, you can connect with me. And my link is in the show notes as well. You can book a free call to see where I can help you. And until next time, keep choosing your healing, keep trusting your growth, and keep showing up for yourself.
Thank you.